Welcome to Littleton Common. I'm Bob Spinozzi.
And I'm Barbara McRae. You know, time is marching on and we are going into fall with no signs of this pandemic ending anytime soon. It's been 7 months with no signs of a cure. Virtual is not my thing, and neither is Zoom. Some people are adapting very well, and I imagine they are familiar with computers and any technical stuff. I need my social life, and even social distancing will do. But here we are, and Bob and I are trying to keep away while together. Moving on from COVID.
Now, the Littleton Lyceum is open for business by way of Zoom. On Friday, October 2nd, the Lyceum will feature American author and Marblehead resident Eric J. Dolan, who will offer stories from his book, A Furious Sky, The 500-Year History of American Hurricanes. The Zoom link for the free presentation can be found on the Lyceum's website. Now, I have a feeling that some of you may have seen Eric's interview just this past September 11th by meteorologist Mike Wampler on WCVB's Chronicle. In that interview, Eric mentions that he agrees with the scientific community that climate control and global warming are real and could make hurricanes worse with warmer temperatures. He also added, warmer air can hold more moisture, so you may get hurricanes that are far wetter. By the way, if you didn't see that interview, you can find it by searching Channel 5 Chronicle Eric J. Dolan. And by the way, yes, this Dolan is spelled with an I. Now, while we're on the subject of hurricanes, I'd like to touch down on 3 of the worst hurricanes to hit New England in the 20th century. I'm going to start with the most recent of the 3, and that was Bob on August 16, 1991. Bob started in the Bahamas and marched up the East Coast and first hit Rhode Island, and especially hammering Block Island before continuing to the Bay State and then the rest of New England. In Metro Boston, the South Shore communities had the most damage, and 60% of the residents in southeastern Massachusetts lost power. Overall, New England experienced $780 million in damage, which was a good amount in 1991. Now, the next New England storm event I want to mention consisted of 2 hurricanes that touched down within 2 weeks of one another at the end of August 1954. The first hurricane was Hurricane Carol, which, like Bob, originated in the Bahamas and reached New England at the end of August 1954. This hurricane sustained winds of 90 to 100 miles per hour, toppling trees and downing miles and miles of power lines throughout New England. In addition, 4,000 homes, 3,500 cars, and 3,000 boats were lost. Now, the second hurricane was Edna, that barreled up the East Coast and reached Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and the Cape on September 11th, completely knocking out their power before hitting us here in Metro Boston. Now, this is important to mention. Carol had eroded the beaches so much before Edna struck that it made the coastal areas that much more vulnerable to Edna. Overall, 21 people died in New England as a result of both storms. Okay, now, hold on to your hat. The granddaddy of hurricanes in the 20th century was the great New England hurricane of 1938. I want to stop here for just a moment to mention that it wasn't until 1950 that hurricanes were given names. Now, to continue, this hurricane developed off the Cape Verde Islands on September 4th and didn't reach New England until September 21st. The Weather Service had largely dismissed the storm, saying that it would veer off to sea. But needless to say, everyone was caught flat-footed. Now, the hurricane proved to be a monster. The Blue Hills Observatory recorded the strongest winds ever for the region, with 121 miles per hour sustained winds, and then gusts of 186 miles per hour. Power outages lasted for weeks in some areas. Sections of New Bedford and Falmouth were buried under 8 feet of water. And overall, 8,900 buildings in New England were destroyed, Another 15,000 were damaged. 63 people became homeless. 564 people were killed. And another 1,700 were injured. Barbara, I have a vague recollection of that.
Well, I'm thinking
of Carolyn.
Yeah, I remember that, but I'm also thinking about 1938 when I was born. See how it happened? Just came into the world and just made problems already. But yeah, and 54 was another hurricane.
Yeah, I was in Pennsylvania where I grew up, and you were in Connecticut.
Yeah, I was in Connecticut,
Yeah.
but I remember trying to get to my grandmother and my aunts. My parents had to take all kinds of, back roads to get there because of the problems on the roads and everything. So I remember,
Now, with climate change too, these wildfires that have
that's awful.
gone out of control.
Awful. And I have relatives in California, and I call them regularly to ask how things are going for them. And most of the time it's smoke. Smoke all over. They can hardly go out. They can't go outside.
No, we have friends also. And, well, my brother in Colorado, he gets quite a bit of smoke, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was afraid we'd get it sooner or later, or something from it.
Yeah.
Some kind of.
Well, I have talked to a couple of people who say that. Well, in a couple of days we've had some haze, and they said it could be that. Sure.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it could be.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Well, anyway, we'll just keep moving on. That's all we can do, right?
you got it.
The Friends Thrift Shop has been closed, so Elder and Human Services now may use that room as an office. I want to thank the volunteers who came to help pack things up so George Ogilvy could cart it all away. And thank you, George. And thanks to Sandra Cassell, Nancy Friday, Lorraine and Harvey Atkins, Harvey for breaking down the racks. Thanks to Ann Sweat, Jeannie Cassell, Margaret Kelleher, Tony Jasinski, and George Sanders, who found a place for all of the coats to be of use. Thank you, George Dumas, for cleaning up after us. We will miss all who visited, came in to purchase, and those who volunteered to make it a thrift shop that was special and a fundraiser for the Friends of the COA and the seniors. All of the clothes in the shop, 60 bags, went to the high school bin where it will be used to help fund the sports programs. And I understand that George brought about 50, maybe 60 bags from the thrift shop to the high school bin. Nancy Morrison has dedicated many years to making sure the teams and cheerleaders have the right uniforms. She has been able to do this by the donations of clothing to the bin there in the parking lot at the high school. Over time, she has collected, I believe she said, $70,000. And this went to her cause. 100% of the money goes to replace uniforms for all the sports teams. And thank you, Nancy, for all your hard work. But now the Friends are looking for programs to keep our seniors active and in touch. We are working on ways to keep social distancing and a social life in the senior scene. If you have ideas, please let me know at bjtrm@aol.com. Watch for our news in the broadcaster and on this show.
Now, just a reminder, Indian Hill Music is following public health guidelines and has canceled their fall and winter concerts. In its place, Indian Hill is doing a series of virtual concerts with individual musicians and orchestras. There will also be interviews with Bruce Hangen, the director and conductor of the Orchestra of Indian Hill. Now, I interviewed Maestro Hangen several years ago for LCTV, and he told me about his and the Boston Pops appearance at the 2002 Super Bowl at the Louisiana Superdome. That day, Bruce had been the guest conductor for the Pops, and they made history as the first orchestra to be the featured entertainment at the Super Bowl. I have a feeling that many of you remember that game as the Patriots beat the St. Louis Rams as time expired 20-17 for the first of their 6 Super Bowl wins. Now, keeping with sports, there will be no Massachusetts high school football this fall due to the virus. However, the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association has approved football this winter and spring from February 22nd through April 25th. But fear not, there are other Littleton school sports being played right now this fall.
Great. I think that we've got to do something about all of this for,
Yeah.
and it's good for healthy reasons too.
Well, we're going to follow the teams that are playing, and
Yeah.
the football not being here is really very strange to everyone.
Yeah.
It's not just the kids, but I know that there's so many parents who went to Littleton High
Grandparents, too.
School, played football, and they miss the game as much as the kids, really.
Yeah, yeah. Oh well. Recently, I visited Spring Dell Farm to talk with Jamie Cruz, the crop and greenhouse production manager. It was a great interview, and Jamie had so much to tell us about what has been happening with the farm during the pandemic. The problem is, we sat outside near the farm stand and the sound was not good on camera. And that's because of all the traffic going by. So we aren't able to show the actual interview. But some of my questions were, what is her role as crop and greenhouse production manager? And Jamie told me that all of her family was involved in the farm and she was always in the greenhouse. So in 2006, that became her title. The help who worked the farm were the same migrant workers who came every year, and they were still able to come to help. Jamie said farms are doing very well, even with the pandemic, because people were looking for fresh veggies and what her farm had to offer. And this means she gave to the stores and restaurants too. Every week on Tuesday, Spring Dell has a senior day, where seniors can come and buy a bag or a box filled with all the kinds of produce for that week. It's always a surprise. Jamie wanted to do something that would benefit the community and the seniors. The packages may contain corn, apples, farm-grown breakfast sausages, fresh mozzarella cheese balls, or tomatoes, peaches, eggs, different kinds of frozen meats and eggplant, blueberries, strawberries, maple syrup, and the list can go on and on. When you sign up, the cost is $15 for 12 weeks of nutritious food, and there's a punch card and chairs. On the 12th punch, you get a free box. And friends of the COA buy shares to give to outreach when needed. Many seniors use this senior day. And by the way, her tomatoes are wonderful, but so is everything else. I am so sorry we couldn't have Jamie in person, but you have got to go to Spring Dell Farm. Check the farm stand and take the kids to see the animals.
The O'Neill Cinema is open now. They've been very generous to our seniors through the Friends of the COA. The past 2.5 years, they've contributed free movie passes to the seniors. Wednesdays is Senior Day, and showtimes before 12:30 will be reserved for seniors only. Thanks to the O'Neill family for the generosity.
So, Bob,
I
did
did.
you get your flu shot?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
About at least 2 weeks ago at CVS.
Oh, so you're
About
safe.
You? Did you get your shot?
I'm not talking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Anyway, the Neshoba Board of Health's 2020 flu shot clinic will be held at the Littleton Fire Station on Tuesday, October 13th from 2 o'clock to 6 p.m. The craft class workers have been thinking outside of the box. The pandemic has people realizing they can be very creative in order to keep classes going without an interruption. Grab and go is the latest way to do it. Note cards were first, and now on October 21st at 1 p.m., there will be another grab and go on the courtyard patio by the senior center. Oh, what made me say that? I mean the senior diner. Senior center to come later, we hope. This is another free project, and all of the supplies will be included in the kit. Help will be there to show how to make your cork coasters It's easy, and someone will be there to visit with you a few minutes. So call 978-540-2470 to let them know you will be coming to pick up your kit. Now, Phil Souza is here to talk about a new project the Rotary wants to tell us about. Stay with us for that. Today, it's my pleasure to have Phil Souza from the Rotary here to talk about his chairmanship with the, I want to get that right, it's the Rotary's Community Corps. Correct?
Correct.
Good. We want to hear all about this because it really sounds like a very good program. And we have a lot of very nice volunteers in Littleton. And I think they should know about this. So why don't you give us a kind of a brief summary on what it's all about?
So the Littleton Rotary Club of Littleton, coincident with the installation of a new president this year, decided we wanted to form a different group focused on volunteerism outside of the Rotary Club itself. So the members in the Rotary Club, we number about 30. We can't possibly support all of the efforts that we'd like to support with only the Rotary membership. So the Rotary Community Corps is an effort to get non-Rotarians involved in Rotary projects without having to be members of the Rotary Club, and many people, for various reasons, don't want to become members of a club. They don't want to have weekly meetings, they don't want to pay dues. So this is a way for people who want to do volunteer work and service to do that under the guidance and the support of the Rotary Club of Littleton. So in that way, they're able to fulfill their needs and also help the community.
Yep.
Community Corps actually are in 100 countries around the world through Rotary. And there are actually over 10,000 community corps throughout the world doing service projects in developed countries, undeveloped countries, various languages. So it's the Littleton Club Community Corps will be part of a much larger effort through Rotary International. So we're hoping in that way to expand the club's reach in the community.
What are some of the things that you're thinking about doing for the community with your volunteers?
So we've formed a committee, which is not a bad word, and that committee eventually will be comprised of members of the Rotary Club and members of the Community Corps. So it'll be a joint effort, and we'll get opinions and make decisions as a group. So it won't be a top-down effort. It'll be involving those people that are actually doing the volunteer work. So some of the areas that we're currently thinking about are things around environment and habitat. So we talked about global warming and climate change. There are things in the Littleton area that perhaps would need some volunteer work to help with that effort. So we're actually thinking of reaching out to the Park and Recs Department and talking with them about lakes and ponds in the area. And is there anything there around projects that would help with lake and pond sustainability? Could be just making sure they're kept clean. So that's one area. I met recently with Ashley Shaheen at Elder and Human Services.
Right.
We talked for an hour about what needs might be in the senior community.
Good.
And part of that was one of our committee members had an idea of having Ashley and her team survey and do an assessment of seniors in the community to see how prepared they were in case of emergency.
That's good.
So there are many seniors who might be isolated, might not have support, might not have a cell phone. How much at risk are they in case of a power outage?
Right.
So our thought was to provide seniors through this survey with an emergency kit through the Community Corps. And the kit would have a flashlight, perhaps some backup batteries. It would have a bottle of water. It would have a little snack, Band-Aids, So basically something that they could have at their disposal in case of emergency that would get them through an hour or 2 hours or however long it took to get them assistance.
Excellent.
So we're trying to see if we can, again, this is a collaboration between Community Corps and Ashley's team
Yeah.
to do that assessment.
You might even add something like a place for them to go on your list. You know, if in fact some might be afraid to be alone at home during that, and they maybe a volunteer could find out if they need to go to a certain place or a friend's home or
Right.
relative or something like that
Yeah.
in the area.
So part of that kit would actually, that's a good point, thank you. Part of that kit would have I call it a business card, but a card with a phone number with emergency contacts,
Good.
including Rotary Community Corps member, so that they would know that they could call. Now, if the phone is out and they don't have a cell phone, then that becomes a little more complicated. But we're
Yeah.
working on what did they do in that case. So
Yeah.
again, the goal is to make sure everybody in the community is safe.
Good.
And that's one way to do that. So going back to Rotary, Rotary is based on basically getting acquaintances and fellowship as a way of providing opportunities for service. So the main focus is on getting people together who are like-minded, want to do service, business people in the community, so we have a lot of business people, talking so that ideas come out on how to do service, which is the Community Corps actually came out of those discussions. So how can we provide service?
Right.
The Community Corps is almost a mirror image of that, where the focus is on service as a means of forming acquaintances and fellowship. So you start with service and you meet people and you form friendships.
Yeah.
Whereas the club itself is the opposite. So the two go together quite well. And we're
Good.
hoping that by doing outreach and spots like this, that we will get potential members to get interested and contact us.
Good. How can they contact somebody if they see this and they want to do something?
So we have today a Rotary website. So if you went to Rotary Club of Littleton on the website, you would be able to reach the website and to be a contact page there that you could fill in.
Okay.
We have an email, a Gmail account, which is littleton.mass.rotary or rotary.mass. I'll have to see what it is. We'll have to
Yeah, that's
edit that
okay.
one.
You can leave it with us.
I will, yeah. And we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and now we have a Twitter account. So all
Wow.
those social media avenues will have contact information.
What if a senior wants to help and they don't have a computer? They have nothing like what you're talking about. What do they do then about getting in touch?
Yep. So we're going to have a couple of other vehicles, hopefully. We're going to place notices in the local newspapers,
Good.
including in the Neshoba Valley Voice and the Littleton, I'm not sure what it's called today, but the local paper. We're having flyers printed up that would be posted in local businesses, supermarkets,
Okay.
where hopefully seniors or other people would see the notice
Good.
with the contact information.
Leave some with the Elder and Human Services office,
Yes.
or they can tack it outside the.
Yeah, so thanks for mentioning that. Ashley has graciously agreed to put an ad, if you will, or a notice
In the newsletter.
November broadcaster.
Good.
So I get that, and I find it's full of information, and I'm hoping that will be another way to
Good.
reach out to seniors.
Good.
Yeah.
And you can always tell us here, and we'll put something on the show.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I was also developing a bulletin that we would post on,
Good.
On the
Good.
television. So those are various ways that we hope to get the message out that there is a community core in Littleton. We want to provide service. We need people to join and help volunteer.
Very good.
So that's,
Good. I might want to put my name down there.
I hope so. I hope so.
I love volunteering, and I think that there are so many things people can get into to help one way or another.
Right.
So I think it's a good cause. I like hearing about it. And make sure you get the word, I know you will, get the word out there, and let people know so that they can contact somebody.
We will. We're actually doing a project Saturday with some members, both the Rotary and some community corps members. I think it's over at the Point. I think it's called Build a Bed or Heavenly Bed. So there's a fellow who's organized a nonprofit that gets people together to build bunk beds for children who, believe it or not, don't have beds to sleep on. So
Wow,
kids are
I like
sleeping
that.
on floors. Yeah. So we basically set up an assembly line like a Ford Auto, and everybody has one job, and down the line you end up with a bed. And
I love
think
it.
we built 400 or 500 beds last year.
Oh my gosh.
And the need is in the thousands.
I'll build anything. I love building.
Right.
So I'll have to stop by and
And
see
it's
it.
fun. It's fun. So that's
Yeah.
the acquaintance and fellowship part that comes with the service. And I think everybody had a good time.
Terrific.
Great.
Well, I appreciate you coming today
Thank you. We do too.
and telling us all about it. And hopefully the word will get out there and you'll get a lot of people involved. And I'm sure there are a lot out there that would agree with that this is a good thing. So
Good.
Thank
Well, we
you.
hope to hear from everybody out there, and everybody's welcome to join. And we hope to get a diverse group of volunteers that will provide service to the community.
good. So as it gets going, I'd like to see you come back and tell us about it
I
and
will.
what it's doing and how it's going.
Great.
Great.
I'll be thrilled to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, and until next time, be safe, be kind, and don't forget your seniors.